Hey guys, welcome back to Furniture Flipping Teacher. If you are new here, my name is Lauren and I am a kindergarten teacher full-time, but I am also on a journey to flip furniture to earn money to pay off my student loan debts. Welcome to the journey and let's get started. Today we have a fun one. I am going to be flipping an antique, vintage, old dresser. I've been doing a little bit of research to figure out if it's an antique or if it's vintage. Antique has to be 100 years or older, and vintage is anywhere between 99 and 20 years old. I don't think it's quite 100 years old. There was some markings on the back. We're just gonna call it vintage. I am excited to get started. Usually I always sand first before I do anything, but this one does have a little bit of damage and I want to assess the damage while I clean. So I am going to grab my Dawn dish soap and some warm water and get to scrubbing down. Okay, so I have got my water and my rag with my Dawn dish soap and I am going to wipe it down. I'm going to take the hardware off. Some of it is damaged, so I am gonna have to get a few new pieces of hardware. Okay, so I was able to assess some of the damage, so I'm going to show you what I have found and how I plan to kind of fix it up. So right here on the big drawer, there's a pretty big chunk out of the drawer. So I got some wood filler and I'm hoping to shape this back to like the regular drawer. And then some of the veneer is peeling up over here, as well as along the fronts of these drawers. Nothing too crazy that some wood filler can't fix up there. Same with the smaller drawers. Luckily, this drawer is in really good condition. The embellishments are intact. And then I did find this guy right here, so I will attempt to fix that up with some wood filler, sand it down a little as well. Down here we've got some veneer pulling up a little bit, but not too much, so I'm going to do some sanding, put some wood filler there before I sand it down. Not too many huge gouges. There's just some paint on here. There's like a scratch. Actually, I think I did that, but we're gonna put some, my plan is really to stain the top, so I'm hoping that possibly I can get these gouges to get fixed. If not, then I will have to paint it as well. So the next step in this dresser is to get my sander out. All right, so actually time out. Before I sand, I want to put the wood filler in. And I actually just remembered that I happened to get some stainable wood filler from Minwax. I've never used this before, but I'm hoping, especially since it's just a small amount on the top that needs to be filled in, that when I do sand it down, it'll kind of blend right in, and when I stain it, this wood filler is supposed to be able to be stained. So hopefully it won't make a huge difference. But then I did get this wood filler for the rest of it. So I'm gonna do the wood filler first before I sand. That way I can sand down the wood filler once it dries. So that is the stainable wood filler. Also, luckily this right here is covered by where the mirror part sits, so if it if it doesn't look 100%, it's probably okay. I want to give it a generous amount, and then later on I will sand it down. Okay, that looks pretty filled in. I think that's it for the stainable wood filler. All right, and then the next thing I got was this wood filler, plastic wood. When it's dry, it changes colors. So I am going to go ahead and get some of this out. All right, so we're gonna tackle this corner here I'm just gonna kind of squish it on there. I want to mimic the shape of the drawer. Again, this will dry and then we'll be able to sand it down to be with the rest of the drawer, my hope. Again, never done this before, so I know there's putty you can use as well. I got all of the wood filler in. I did a little bit more off camera, but now this wood filler has to dry. All right, so the wood filler dried overnight. Right now I'm going to move outside and get my sander out and sand everything down. The plan is actually to stain the top, so I am going to try and get all of the stain off the top. It is a veneer on top, so I want to make sure that I don't go too low, but that I get at least the finish off. And then just a scuff sand down around the rest of the dresser and the drawers. All right, so I do want to say that my little job at filling in that chewed off corner of the drawer was actually really good. I'm kind of proud of myself. It's like nice and even. And then especially when I paint that, it'll be perfect. The only thing I'm kind of upset about is that I was sanding on the side here and then I chipped off some more veneer here, so I'm gonna have to go in, fill that back in. Right now I'm going to take my detail sander and get all of those beautiful details sanded down. I'm gonna see what it looks like once I get it all sanded down. My next step is to grab my primer. I've been using gray primer by Zinsser, but I have still been noticing some stain coming through, so I decided to go a different route today, and I got the Zinsser bin primer with shellac base in it, so that is supposed to really block the stain in. And I'm hoping, because this piece is old, as I said, so I don't want any of the color to come through, especially because I'm going to be painting it white. I also grabbed my priming brush for when I have to get in this detail right here. Well, I actually really like this primer. It goes on really easily, especially that I used it with a roller. So I don't know about you, but every time I do a dresser that has a mirror, I tend to forget that it has a mirror and do all the things I did to the dresser to the mirror and the stand. I'm gonna prime it so that it's in the same step as the dresser and the drawers. time I painted a mirror, I didn't use painter's tape and I just went back with a razor blade and scraped it off. This time I'm gonna try a different method. Not that that didn't work well, but I'm gonna try the painter's tape and tape it all around. That way I can prime and paint. Let's get the tape on. Well, that took a little bit longer than I thought, but that's all right. It's gonna save me some time in the end. So now I'm gonna prime. I got the mirror all primed. Now I am going to check out the drawers and the dresser. I am going to paint them with the Chippy Barn. We are gonna go with Magnolia today. Now I'm gonna move on to the drawers and then not forget about the mirror. I'm gonna do the first coat on all of those right now. Alrighty, so I've got the first coat of paint on all of the furniture, the mirror stand, the drawers, and the base of the dresser. Since I am gonna need a second coat, I put my brushes in a plastic bag. That way the air won't get to them, but I don't have to wash them out until I'm completely finished. So I'm gonna let all of this dry. I'm gonna turn my fan on actually, and then once they dry, we'll come back for coat number 2. Time for our second coat of the Chippy Barn Magnolia paint. I just got the second coat of paint on the white and it looks great. I'm not gonna have to do a third, so that's exciting. The top, I have been talking about it the whole time. I am going to attempt to do a stain on top. I wanna try the sun bleached stains. It's kind of an interesting top. It is veneer. It kind of gets dark in the middle, so that's where I'm like unsure if this will look good. It's super smooth. This wood finish is a little bit different than the top wood finish, and I'm just nervous a little bit because this sun bleached stain is so light that it's just going to basically keep everything the same. So I'm just gonna give it a go though. All right, so we're gonna open it up. Now I'm gonna wipe it and we're gonna figure out what's happening. Well, I mean, it definitely darkened everything up, except this. That's the only bad part, is like the two woods were different. I don't know how I feel about it. Well, to be completely honest, I don't really like how it is turning out. The outside is just not dark enough. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get my dark stain out and stain it a dark color and match the top. Wow guys, okay, I think I found the perfect color. I love the design in the middle now that it's the darker walnut. This is looking just like I wanted it to, actually. Well, maybe not just like I wanted it to be the sun bleached, but because the different colors and it was so dark, because walnut is a darker wood, it couldn't be the sun bleach, so I'll have to save that stain for another day. But I'm loving how this turned out. Before I put the top coat on it to seal it, and then I need to let the stain dry. Okay, while the stain is drying on top, I am going to use my foam brushes and the top coat from the Chippy barn to match the paint that I used. And I am going to get started on the top coat. So normally I do distressing before my top coat so that when I do the top coat, I can seal everything when I distress. Since I already did the top coat on the drawers, I'll have to go distress them once they're dry and then do a little bit of another top coat. Now that I remembered, I'm gonna go distress everything else, then I'll do the top coat. Distressing done, and I'm gonna do the finishing touches of the top coat on the rest of the dresser and the mirror, then I'll do another top coat. Okay, so I came back and I lightly distressed the drawers. I did some of the edges. It was really light distressing on the drawers. One of the reasons is since I did fix a lot of the edges of the drawers, I couldn't really sand that back too much because the wood filler is different color than the actual drawers. All of the distressing and top coats are done except the top coat on the top. It's dry to the touch, so I think I'm gonna go ahead and do the top coat. Well, I've never had this happen before. I don't use stain that often, but it's not making any noise when it's shaking, and I took off the lid and it's like hard as a rock inside there, like solid. What the heck? So I'm gonna have to wait till tomorrow. Okay, so the polyurethane is on the top. I am actually gonna put the drawers in while that's drying since I won't be touching that. But then the mirror and the mirror stand will have to wait to go on, but I'm gonna pull the tape off. Well, that took a little bit longer than I thought it would, but I got all the tape off. Now I'm gonna go ahead and clean the mirror and see if I need to scrape anything else off. All right, mirror is clean, and I'll do any last cleaning once I get it up there, because chances are I'm gonna get my fingerprints on there. So I just realized I never talked to you guys about hardware. So I salvaged 4 pieces from the original hardware, but the rest were either missing or broken. So I grabbed 4 other ones, and I'm going to spray them with my oil rubbed bronze Rust-Oleum metallic spray paint. All right, I am going to get the hardware on. It's all dry, so I'm gonna screw it in. The whole thing is coming together. So now I'm going to put the mirror and the mirror stand on top. Guys, I got it all staged. I'm opening the garage now. We are gonna check it out in the daylight. Here it is, the big reveal. Doesn't it look great? I'm so pleased with how it turned out. This is like one of the biggest projects that I've done. It came out like crazy. Or I'm thinking that this is like one of my favorite pieces. I'm just hoping that now it will sell. It is the farmhouse look, but just it's so big that I'm just not 100% sure how it's gonna sell in my area. So okay, so now that it is all up, I am going to get some pictures going and decide how much I'm gonna sell it for, or at least try to sell it for, and then cross my fingers and hope that it sells. Okay, the staging is done, photos are done. I'm gonna edit them, and I'm really still unsure of what I'm gonna list it at. I have no idea. I am going to go figure it out, and I will let you guys know what I end up posting for and what it ends up selling for. So I ended up listing this dresser with the mirror for $350. And long story short, I ended up leaving it listed for a couple of days, and then I got impatient, and so I took it down and I reposted it for $325, and then still waited a couple more days for someone to finally be interested and contact me. After they contacted me, they said, would you take $250? Well, I was again being impatient, and I said I would take $275, and once that was kind of confirmed, I had several others again message me. I'm a little bit frustrated with how that went, but also I am using it as a learning experience that I am going to hold furniture only if they have a deposit down. That way I'm not losing out on any of the profit that I could have had. These people that are messaging me now are like, oh, I'm so bummed that I missed out on it. Is it falling through? So just gotta continue to remember that. I'm gonna clean this mirror because they are about to come, and I just want it to look as nice as possible. So let's get this mirror cleaned. I sold it for that $275. I got it in the beginning for $50. 275 minus 50 equals a profit of $225. So that is going straight toward my student loan debt. I am making a vow today to you guys and to myself that I will be more patient. I'm a patient person, but when it comes to my furniture, I have to become more patient. I am going to wait 5 days to adjust the price on a piece so that I am not coming away with less than I could have gotten. So here it is, I'm saying it. But I am so glad that that is out of here, even though I let it go for just a little bit less than I wanted to. It's going to a happy home. Let me know down in the comments what you thought of this flip, and be sure to get subscribed if you found some tips and tricks in this video. And be sure to go over on Instagram at Furniture Flipping Teacher to follow me over there for more behind the scenes and also some photos of before and afters. I was so glad that this mirror didn't break like it did in this video. See you on the flip side.